Hello everyone, welcome to part 2 of Biology's Big Bang Introduction. So in this video, first of all, we're going to be talking about random variation. One of the major concepts that were brought into light by Charles Darwin in his famous book was random variation, that essentially factored chance as a major contributor to evolution, portraying it as the material that drives this phenomenon. Now this is one of the major things that Charles Darwin actually got wrong, because while we have a notable, I want to use that word very carefully, even though we have some notable changes that can happen due to chance alone, there are other major contributors that we're going to be discussing in later videos that are going to be more important and are going to be altering our genome in significant ways. And these happen actually at a much faster pace, and they are going to be resulting in an evolution in a much faster pace in comparison to random variation alone. Fixation and elimination of variations. Fixation. First of all, let's define what fixation is and elimination. Fixation in premise is the process by which an allele becomes present in all the organisms that constitute a population. That means the allele is fixed. Basically, for example, allele that is going to be coding for brown eyes. This allele, if it is present in 100% of the population, then we can say that this allele is fixed. However, by elimination, it is going to be the exact opposite, where elimination is that when we have, no people in the population with brown eyes. In this case, we have the elimination of this allele. Now, genetic bottleneck was proposed by Sewall Wright to emphasize that chance could play a substantial role in the fixation of changes during evolution, but it was later rejected by modern synthesis theory, and they stuck to purely adaptationist model of evolution. Now this, however, leads us to believe that organisms, and to specify more their organs, are adapting slowly but surely to their surrounding, emphasizing that there is a gradual form of progress that is occurring termed gradualism. So I'd like to also mention here again, and if you watched the previous video, we spoke about gradualism extensively. Basically, there still are some changes in very small amounts that are happening to our organs. Specifically, I'd like to mention our organs, because if there were any major changes that are going to be happening in the cells that are coding and in the cells that are creating, in essence, these organs, then we are probably going to have a failure. So this is where small mutations are going to be more prominent. I'd like to mention that because this is going to be a very major concept, just because gradualism is not entirely, like, we cannot generalize that gradualism is the correct concept that is leading to evolution. However, it can play a major role, or a significant role, in some areas. The tree of life. In the book, The Origin of Species, Charles Darwin presented the concept of the tree of life. Now, this is extremely important, and I highly recommend you guys going and reading more about this, and hopefully you get some information regarding this, because it is actually extremely interesting to see how he was able to explain this concept in at a time where science was honestly bare minimum. It was very difficult to come up with these concepts, and still some of these concepts still are used as, if you'd like, some concrete ideas till today. So this concept, the tree of life, illustrates the origin of species. This concept has been refuted by the work of evolutionary biologists, among others, in recent history that will be discussed later on. However, I'd like to mention here, I mentioned refuted. However, I want to mention that it's not the organism, like the initial organism that, by the way, we're going to be discussing in the next part, but these two concepts are going to be going hand in hand. So I'll explain Luca, and then I'm going to go and just try to explain between them both how Luca and the tree of life kind of have some, they can actually work together. The concept, Luca, the concept that states that all the diversity of life forms arise from one single common ancestor, or very few ancestors, that goes hand in hand with the previous concept, the tree of life. This ancestor, many years later, was dubbed the last universal common ancestor, or Luca. Now, this is going to be very important. Now, let's go back to the previous point. So, let's try to mesh between these two concepts. First of all, we have one organism, apparently according to this concept, except we have one organism, the last universal common ancestor, and this is going to be giving us another organism that is going to be giving us another one, and these are going to be branching out. This branching is going to be leading to the formation of the tree of life. Just like we've got two people in a family are going to be giving to, well, their kids, and these kids are going to be giving to other kids, and this is how it goes. So this is what we mean by the tree of life, and the last universal common ancestor is essentially the first organism that is present, the parent in this scenario. So this is what I'd like to conclude with, is that these two concepts, while they were extremely smart to think about, there were a few things that were proven wrong, and especially regarding the LUCA. However, this is going to be discussed in a later video, so I'd like to thank all of you guys for watching part 1 and part 2 of the introduction to biology's Big Bang. This has been Ali from B Biology.